AITA for costing my family thousands when they faked an emergency for free babysitting? My name is Morgan, and I am 28 years old. It was 10 in the morning, and the banging on my apartment door sounded like hammer blows. Morgan, I know you are in there. Open up, came my sister Danielle's voice. I pressed my forehead against the wood, feeling panic rise. I had told her no 2 days ago, and now here she was trying to force her way in to get a free babysitter. I looked at her angry silhouette through the peephole. Her 2 kids stood awkwardly behind her. My heart was beating so hard I could feel it pounding against my ribs. I pressed my forehead against the cool wood of the door. Danielle, I told you I cannot watch the kids today. My voice trembled, but it was firm. I am working. You have to find someone else. A second of stunned silence. Then her voice, low and angry. You are being incredibly selfish, she hissed through the door. Fine. I hope you are very happy sitting there all by yourself. I heard her furious footsteps retreating, the confused chatter of my nephews fading down the hallway. A sharp, cold relief washed over me. But it only lasted for 1 hour. A single blessed hour, because that is when my phone rang and I saw Mom's name flashing on the screen. I took a deep breath and answered. I did not even get to say hello. Morgan, what is wrong with you? Mom's voice blasted through my ear. Danielle called me crying. She had to cancel her appointment because you refused to help with the kids. I was working, Mom, I tried to explain, my voice tense. Danielle cannot just drop the kids on me without asking first. She is your sister, Mom replied in a tone that left no room for argument. She is going through a tough time. The least you could do is help her. I have helped her many times, Mom. But I have a job I need to focus on. A heavy sigh on the other end of the line. I cannot believe how self-centered you have become, Mom said in that familiar voice, drenched in disappointment. Your sister needs you, and you are too busy with your freelance graphic design work to care. It is not a hobby, it is my job, I shouted, my frustration finally boiling over. And if Danielle wants to go on a date, she needs to plan properly for who is watching her kids. Mom hung up on me. I threw my phone onto the sofa and screamed into a pillow. Why am I the villain for having boundaries? After that, there was silence from my family. No calls from Danielle, no reproaches from Mom, nothing from Dad. And although I missed them, the peace was wonderful. I could work without interruptions. I did not have to worry about surprise visits. 2 weeks went by. Then my phone rang. It was Mom again. Her voice was different, calculated. Morgan, she said, we want you to come for dinner tomorrow around 6 o'clock. I hesitated for only a second. Okay, I said. I will be there. The next night, I drove to my parents' house in the suburbs. When I arrived, the driveway was full. I saw my parents' car, Danielle's SUV, and a truck I did not recognize. I went inside and found a whole gathering. My parents, Danielle and her kids, and a tall man I had never seen before, with a little girl about 6 years old. Danielle hugged me as if nothing had happened. Morgan, I am so glad you could make it, she said, pulling me toward the man. This is Cameron, my fiancé, and this is his daughter, Skylar. Cameron shook my hand warmly. I have heard a lot about you, Morgan. I blinked in surprise. Fiancé? When had that happened? Nice to meet you, I said automatically. Is not this wonderful? Mom gushed, beaming at everyone. The whole family together. We all sat down for dinner. Danielle was surprisingly attentive, laughing at my jokes, asking about my work. She was definitely up to something. After the main course, Danielle cleared her throat. Well, she began, Cameron and I have some exciting news. We are planning a romantic getaway in 2 weeks. 10 days at an all-inclusive resort in the Caribbean. That sounds lovely, I said. You really deserve a break. Thanks, she said, squeezing my hand. And we were hoping you could stay with the kids while we are away. And there it was. The real reason for the dinner, for the sudden kindness. The kids. I repeated slowly. Yes, Danielle said with a smile that did not move. Colton, Grayson, and Skylar too. They were all looking at me expectantly. Actually, I said, my voice calm, and even I am going to a Caribbean island next week. For 2 weeks. It is all booked. Danielle's smile faltered. A Caribbean island? Yes, I confirmed. I have been planning this for months. I leave next Saturday. An awkward silence fell over the table. Danielle turned to our parents. Mom, Dad, we are visiting Aunt Diane in California for a month, Mom said quickly. We leave this Friday. Danielle looked at Cameron with a forced smile. Well, then it is settled. Morgan will watch the kids before she leaves. My head snapped up. What? No, that is not what I said. Danielle's friendly facade finally cracked. Are you kidding me? You cannot help us out for 1 week? I said no, Danielle. You need to find someone else. Her face turned red with rage. You are being incredibly selfish. You never think about anyone but yourself. I stood up from the table, my chair scraping the floor. I am not selfish for having boundaries. I am not your on-call babysitter. I have my own life. What life? Danielle spat, her voice dripping with contempt. You do not have a family or kids. What else could you possibly have to do that is so important? Dad finally spoke, his voice heavy with disappointment. Morgan, be reasonable. Your sister has found someone special. Of course I want her to be happy, I said through gritted teeth, but not at the expense of my own plans. Mom chimed in with a pleading tone. Morgan, you do not have family responsibilities. Your sister has 3 children now. You have to make sacrifices. No, I said, my voice shaking with anger. I do not have to cancel my vacation for a trip Danielle planned without even asking me first. I grabbed my purse and headed for the door. Morgan, Danielle yelled behind me, do not you dare walk out that door. But I did. I walked out and closed the door behind me, ignoring her shouts for me to come back. I expected an avalanche of calls and texts after leaving my parents' house. But surprisingly, my phone remained silent. No furious voicemails from Mom. No guilt-tripping texts from Danielle. Nothing. At first I was tense, waiting for the storm to break. But as the days passed with no contact, I slowly began to relax. Maybe they had finally realized I was not going to budge. Maybe they were respecting my boundaries for once. I threw myself into work, finishing all my pending projects before my vacation. I did not want anything hanging over me while I was on the island. By Friday I had finished everything and my suitcase was packed. My flight left early on Saturday. That night I slept better than I had in weeks. No family drama. No work stress. Just the anticipation of white sand beaches and turquoise waters. At the airport I kept looking around, half expecting Danielle or my parents to show up and make a scene. But nothing happened. I boarded the plane without incident and took off for paradise. The island was everything I had dreamed of. The hotel was perfect, right on the beach with a balcony overlooking the ocean. I spent my days lounging on the beach, swimming, hiking, and trying the local food. I even took a boat tour to see dolphins and stingrays and saw a mother and her calf jumping just feet from the boat. I had been there for 1 week when my phone buzzed with a text from Danielle. I almost did not read it. I had promised myself this vacation would be free of work and family drama, but curiosity got the better of me. The message read, "Emergency, call me now." I rolled my eyes. Classic Danielle. Everything was an emergency with her. Then another text came through. It is about Mom. Life or death. Call me. My stomach dropped. Mom, life or death. Despite everything, I felt a wave of panic. I called her immediately. What is wrong with Mom? I blurted out as soon as she answered. Danielle's voice was trembling. Thank God. Mom is in the hospital. Heart problems. It is really bad. The doctors do not know I put my hand to my mouth. Oh my God, when did this happen? Last night, she said, her voice breaking. We did not want to worry you, but she is getting worse. She has been asking to see you. I am taking the next flight back, I said, already pulling out my laptop to change my tickets. Thank you, Morgan, she whispered. I knew you would come. I hung up and immediately tried calling Mom's cell. No answer. Then I dialed Dad straight to voicemail. With shaking hands, I booked the first available flight for the next morning. It was not cheap to change my plans, but none of that mattered. Mom was sick. Mom needed me. The flight back was torture. My mind kept inventing worst-case scenarios. What if I did not make it in time? What if the last thing Mom remembered was me storming out of that dinner? We landed and I sprinted through the airport. I barely grabbed a small backpack with the essentials, leaving the rest of my luggage for later. I jumped into the first taxi I saw and gave the driver my parents' address. It was mid-afternoon. When I arrived, the house was dark. There were no cars in the driveway. I tried the door, it was locked. My heart was hammering in my chest. Had they moved her to another hospital? Were they already at a funeral home making arrangements? I called Danielle again. Nothing. I took another taxi to Danielle's house. There were lights on, which was at least something. I rang the doorbell, breathless with anxiety. The door opened, but it was not Danielle. It was Colton, Danielle's 7-year-old son. "Aunt Morgan," he exclaimed. "Mom said you were coming to stay with us." I stared at him, confused. "Colton, where is your mom? And where is Grandma?" He looked up at me. "Mom left early this morning. She said you would be here soon." I felt the blood drain from my body as I understood. There was no emergency. Mom was not in the hospital. They had used me. I stood on the threshold, too stunned to speak. "Aunt Morgan, are you coming in?" Colton tugged on my hand. "Grayson and Skylar are hungry." Dazed, I followed him inside. There they were, the 3 kids watching TV in the living room. Not a single adult in sight. I had never been so furious in my life. Danielle had lied about our mother being on her deathbed, just to force me to come babysit. Who does that? "How long have you been alone?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady for them. "Mom left after breakfast," Skylar said. "She said you would be here soon." It was already 4 in the afternoon. These 3 children had been unsupervised for hours. I took a deep breath. This was not their fault. "Okay," I said, forcing a calm I did not feel. "Let us get you all something to eat." While the kids ate the sandwiches I made, I called Danielle. This time she answered. "Oh, Morgan, you made it." Her voice was cheerful, relaxed. I could hear waves in the background. My voice came out low and icy. What was going on? "You lied about Mom being in the hospital." She laughed. A light, carefree laugh. "Well, it was the only way to get you to come back." "You are so predictable, Morgan." "This is not funny, Danielle. You left 3 small children unsupervised for hours." "Oh, I knew you would get there," she said dismissively. "Besides, Colton is very responsible. He is 7, Danielle." 7? Do you know how dangerous that was? "Oh, stop being so dramatic." "They are fine, are they not? Anyway, Cameron and I are having an amazing time. This all-inclusive resort is gorgeous." I was speechless with rage. "Do Mom and Dad know what you did?" I finally managed to ask. "Of course," she said, as if it were obvious. "Mom did not answer your calls because she did not want to ruin the surprise. We will be back next Sunday. There is money for groceries in the kitchen drawer. Oh, and Skylar is allergic to strawberries." She hung up before I could respond. I stood in Danielle's kitchen, surrounded by 3 children who were not my responsibility, with my vacation ruined and my trust in my own family shattered. I wanted to call Troy, Danielle's ex-husband, and tell him she had left the kids. But I stopped myself. Troy had a history of alcohol issues and had created an unsafe environment during their marriage. I could not put Colton and Grayson in his care, as much as I hated what Danielle had done. As I was trying to decide what to do, Skylar tugged on my shirt. "Can I draw something?" she asked, looking up at me with her huge eyes. I was about to hand her some paper when a thought crossed my mind. A deliciously vengeful thought. "You know what, Skylar?" I said with a smile. "You can draw wherever you want. On paper, on construction paper. And if it goes a little onto the walls, that is okay." Her eyes widened with excitement. "Really? Mom never lets me draw on the walls." "Well, I am not your mom," I said, a new kind of calm washing over me. "And I think this house needs some color. Kids want to help?" Colton hesitated. "Will not Mom get mad?" "Do not worry about your mom," I said softly. "This is between her and me. Go get your colors. Just one rule. No outlets, no fire, and no hurting yourselves. Got it?" As Skylar ran for her markers and crayons, I knew I was being petty. But Danielle had crossed a line. She had lied about our mother being at death's door. She had left her children unsupervised for hours and ruined my vacation. If she wanted a free babysitter so badly, she was going to get exactly what she paid for. Over the next week, I added only one more rule. No putting themselves or each other in danger. Everything else was much more flexible than usual. They ate chips and ice cream in the living room, jumped on the couches, had small food fights, and yes, they drew on almost every available surface. The walls, the doors, even the refrigerator. Danielle did not call once all week to check on her kids. Neither did my parents. It was as if they had all decided that as long as I was there, they did not need to worry. By Sunday, Danielle's house looked like a complete disaster zone. Crayon murals covered the walls. The carpet was stained with juice and crumbs, and the kitchen was a chaos of dirty dishes and spilled food. And I did not clean a single thing. Around noon, Danielle sent a text saying they had just landed and would be home in an hour. I gathered my things, said goodbye to the kids, and waited outside for Danielle's car to arrive. When they finally pulled up, Danielle and Cameron got out, tan and happy. Danielle gave me a hug that I did not return. Thanks for helping us out, Morgan, she said, not even acknowledging what she had done. The kids were not too much trouble, were they? I looked her in the eye. Not at all. They are wonderful kids. Very creative. Well, I have to go, I said, backing toward my car. Enjoy the rest of your day. Danielle waved as I drove away. I turned off my phone as soon as I got to my apartment, knowing what was coming. I took a long hot shower, made myself some tea, and tried to process everything that had happened. The deliberate manipulation, the lie about Mom's health, the fact that my entire family had been in on it. That night I slept like a baby, the deep, dreamless sleep of someone who had finally stood up for herself. When I woke up the next morning, I turned on my phone. I was met with an avalanche of notifications. 27 missed calls from Danielle, 15 from Mom, 12 from Dad, and over 100 text messages, each one more furious than the last. A text from Danielle. What did you do to my house? From Mom, Morgan, call us right now. This behavior is unacceptable. Another from Danielle. My walls are destroyed. The carpet is ruined. And from Dad. Your mother is very upset. You need to fix this. I scrolled past the flood of messages, calmly sipping my coffee. I did not feel the slightest bit guilty. Around noon there was a banging on my door that could only be Danielle. I thought about not opening it, but I was not going to hide. I opened the door to find Danielle and Mom, both of their faces red with fury. You. Danielle shoved her way into my apartment. How could you do something like this? Mom followed, looking around my pristine apartment as if searching for evidence of other problems. I cannot believe you would do something so childish, Morgan. I closed the door and leaned against it. Please come in, I said dryly. Danielle paced my living room like a caged animal. Do you have any idea how much damage you caused? All the walls need to be repainted. We might have to replace the entire carpet. How terrible, I said, making no effort to sound sincere. Danielle stopped and pointed a finger at me. I have calculated the damages, she hissed. You owe me thousands of dollars for the repairs. I laughed. I could not help it. This is not funny. Danielle yelled. My house is destroyed because of you. No, Danielle, I said, my voice suddenly steel. Your house is the way it is because you lied about Mom dying to trick me into babysitting your kids. Mom stepped between us. It was a bit extreme, I admit, but a bit extreme. I interrupted. She said you were dying, Mom. That the doctors did not know if you were going to make it. Do you have any idea what I felt? The entire flight back, I thought I might never see you alive again. Mom, at least, had the decency to look uncomfortable. Well, yes, but she was desperate and that makes it acceptable? I asked, raising my voice. Lying about someone dying is okay if you are desperate for a free babysitter? Of course not, Mom said. But destroying her house is not the answer either. Danielle was fuming, her fists clenched. Are you going to pay for the damages, or am I going to sue you? I crossed my arms. Go ahead. And when we are in front of a judge, I will be sure to mention that you left 3 children under the age of 8 unsupervised for hours while you went to another country. Let us see what a family court judge or Child Protective Services thinks about that. Danielle's face went pale. You would not. And why not? I shot back. You had no problem lying about Mom dying. Mom shifted uncomfortably. I thought it was a little white lie. There is nothing white about telling someone their mother is dying. My voice broke on the last word. Do you have any idea what that did to me? For the first time, I saw a flicker of genuine remorse in Mom's eyes. I did not see it that way. Of course you did not, I said, feeling a wave of exhaustion. You never think about how your actions affect me. None of you. You just expect me to drop everything whenever it is convenient for you, because apparently my time is not valuable, my career is not real, and my plans simply do not matter. We stood in silence for a long time. Finally, Danielle spoke, her voice hard. I am not paying to fix my own house. You pay for the damages or I will sue. I looked her straight in the eye. And I will tell Troy you left his kids unsupervised for hours. I will tell the judge you lied about Mom being in the hospital. I will tell everyone what kind of person you are, Danielle. The threat hung in the air between us. You would not do that, Danielle said, but she sounded less certain now. You faked Mom having a heart attack, I said flatly. You do not get to tell me what I would or would not do anymore. Mom took Danielle by the arm. Let us go. This is not helping. Danielle shook her off. Fine, she spat. But this is not over. She stormed out of my apartment. Mom paused at the door. Morgan, I just go, Mom, I said, exhausted. I cannot talk to you right now. She nodded sadly and left. I closed the door behind them and leaned against it, drained. The confrontation had left me with no strength. I did not hear from any of them for months. No calls, no texts, no surprise visits. It was as if my family had decided I no longer existed. And honestly, it was peaceful. I dove into my work, took on new clients, and even got a promotion. I went on some dates, made new friends, and started taking weekend trips to explore nearby cities. Life without the constant drama of my family was surprisingly liberating. No unexpected babysitting demands, no belittling comments about my career, no walking on eggshells to avoid conflict. Of course, I missed them sometimes. I would see a mother and daughter shopping or siblings laughing in a coffee shop and feel a pang of loss. But then I would remember. I would remember the lies, the manipulation, the utter disregard for my life and my decisions, and it would pass. Then out of the blue an envelope arrived. It was a formal invitation to Danielle and Cameron's wedding. There was no note, no personal message, just the invitation. I stared at it for a long time, unsure what to feel. Was it an olive branch? A trap? A formality they felt obligated to extend? I set it aside, unable to decide. A week later, my phone rang with Mom's number. After a moment's hesitation, I answered. Hello, Morgan. Mom's voice was tentative. How are you? Did you get Danielle's wedding invitation? Yes. Another silence stretched between us. Are you coming? She finally asked. I sighed. I do not know, Mom. It is complicated. I know, she said quietly. I have been thinking a lot about what happened. You were right. What we did was wrong. Lying about me being sick was cruel. I should have stopped it. I did not know what to say. In my entire life, I could not remember a single time my mother had admitted she was wrong about anything. I am sorry, Morgan, she continued softly. I really am. And I think Danielle is too, in her own way. You know how she is. Too proud to admit it. That does not justify what she did. No, it does not, Mom admitted. Nothing justifies that. But it would mean a lot to all of us if you came to the wedding. We miss you. I felt my eyes well up with unexpected tears. I miss you guys too sometimes. After we hung up, I sat with the invitation in my hands for a long time. Could I forgive them? Should I? The truth is, I did not know. My family had hurt me deeply. They had crossed lines that should never be crossed. But they were still my family. For better or for worse. In the end, I realized that forgiveness was not something I could force. It would come in its own time if it came at all. What I could do was set clear boundaries and stick to them. I could decide what role, if any, I wanted my family to play in my life from now on. I still have not decided what to do about the wedding. Part of me wants to go, to see if there is anything worth salvaging in my relationship with Danielle and my parents. Another part is afraid that if I go, I will fall back into the same old patterns, allowing them to use and disrespect me. But for the first time, I feel like I have a choice. I am no longer automatically obligated to do what my family wants. I can put myself first without guilt. I can demand respect. And that is a kind of freedom I never knew I needed until now. Whatever I decide about the wedding, one thing is certain, things will never go back to the way they were. Danielle's lie destroyed our family as it was. But maybe, just maybe, something healthier can grow in its place. Comment. Hey friends. I really hope this story touched you the way it did me because it reminded me how powerful it is to value your own worth every single day. I believe we all have the right to set clear boundaries when something does not feel right for us. Protecting your peace is not selfish at all. It is actually one of the most responsible choices you can make for a calmer, happier life. When someone pushes too far, it is okay to stand firm and show them what respect truly looks like. I have learned that real healing starts the moment we stop accepting situations that drain our energy. You deserve relationships that lift you up instead of constantly pulling you down. Taking care of your own well-being shows real strength and opens the door to genuine kindness toward everyone around you. Sometimes, stepping back creates the space we all need to grow at our own pace. Remember that true self-respect begins with being gentle and honest with yourself first. I hope this encourages you to pause today and think about where you might gently draw a line, so you can finally embrace the calm you deserve. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.